Now let's shift into the heart of today's webinar. We have a wonderful group of panelists joining us, and I'm excited to introduce them. Our moderator for today's discussion is Sarah Harris. Sarah is the Chief over the Independent Living and Assistive Technology section at the Department of Rehabilitation.
Mm-mm.
This section oversees the funding for all 28 Independent Living Centers, or ILCs, across California, the State Traumatic Brain Injury Program, and State Assistive Technology Program, along with Statewide Voice Options Program. Prior to coming to DOR, Sarah served as the Director of Programs for Resources for Independent Central Valley in Fresno and oversaw all of the same programs on the programmatic side of things. In her new role, she finds each day to be an opportunity to learn something new. She's a mom, a friend, and a disability rights advocate. Our first panelist is Larry Grable. Larry serves as the executive director of one of California's 28 independent living centers, where he's led for the past 12 years. With a background in public service, including 8 years for the Office of the Governor as director of the Inland Empire Field Office, and he worked as a field representative for one of our senators. Larry brings a wealth of experience in advocacy, leadership, and systems change. He currently chairs the state's Assistive Technology Advisory Committee and serves several emergency preparedness and aging disability advisory groups. He's currently working on a merger between the Service Center for Independent Life, SCIL, and Aging Next, a senior service provider. We're also joined by Brandy Blue, who has served as Executive Director of Resources for Independent Living, or RIL, since 2022. RIL supports individuals with disabilities in Yolo and Sacramento counties. As a person with multiple disabilities, including a speech disability and mental health, Brandy brings lived experience and deep commitment to her work in the independent living movement. Her journey began as a college intern at RIL, where she quickly found her passion for disability advocacy, accessibility, and inclusion. Today, Brandy leads efforts to expand programs, build partnerships, and ensure that people with disabilities have the tools and support they need to live independently. We're also happy to have Rebecca Donabed, who is the community organizer at Resources for Independent Central Valley, RICV, and a dedicated self-advocate. Rebecca first connected with RICV as a college intern and officially joined the team in 2022. She currently serves on several committees, including the Tulare County Social Service Transportation Advisory Committee, the Tulare County Voting Accessibility Advisory Committee, and the statewide Self-Advocacy Network, where she continues to advance the voices and rights of people with disabilities. Our next panelist is Kelly Kivlehan from Access Central Coast, or ACC. Kelly now serves as the Assistive Technology Coordinator, helping individuals access low-tech and high-tech tools, equipment, and home modifications that support greater independence at home, at work, and in the community. For example, procuring vital durable medical equipment. Kelly's passionate about expanding ACC's assistive technology program across the 3 counties they serve and continually exploring new ways to make the utmost impact on the lives of the people they support. And finally, we're delighted to have Cece Olivas as a panelist. Cece is the youth coordinator at Resources for Independent Living, RIL. She's been with IRL for a little over a year after graduating from California State University, Sacramento. Cece is passionate about working with youth and empowering individuals to live full and fulfilling lives. She leads the Youth Empowerment Program at RIL, a project she built from the ground up to support young people with disabilities in developing life and leadership skills. Cece has developed connections across Sacramento to expand support and resources for the youth she serves. We're lucky to have a passionate and dedicated team leading today's discussion. So from here, I'm excited to turn it over to our panel so you can hear directly from the people doing this work every day. All right, Sarah, take it away.
Great. So greetings, everyone. Good to see you all here. I'm glad that everybody came to hear about California's best kept secret. Well, one of them. I am very, very excited to be here today with a group of great individuals. And I think that we are going to be able to cover a good portion of things that our independent living centers do each and every day. But there's so much more. So this is just a picture. So I do encourage you all after this is over to come on and find your own local independent living center. All right, so I'm going to hand it on over to Larry to get us started. It's all yours, Larry.
Well, welcome. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege to kick this webinar off today. I have the privilege to talking about the independent living centers, give you a really quick overview. Like Sarah said, 5 minutes is not a lot to give you a lot of details, but we'll glance over everything and then there'll be time for questions afterwards. Um, you know, Ed Roberts, Judy Heumann, and the Rolling Quads are the ones that really got this movement kicked off. Um, Ed Roberts started the first Center for Independent Living in Berkeley in 1972. There was the Rehab Act of 73, which prohibited discrimination. And it's funny, that's in 1973, and it was in 1974 that the Ugly Acts were finally ended. So in 1977, we had the 504 sit-ins led by Judy Heumann and other advocates. The IL movement did grow from grassroots activism. That's what, Ed Roberts was all around, and peer leadership. My center, Service Center for Independent Life, was formed in 1980. It was started by a couple of the professors for the Claremont colleges that had disabled children and wanted a place that they can go to help out. Core principles: self-determination, consumer control, peer support, and full inclusion is the basic philosophy of independent living. As you know, people with disabilities are the best experts on their lives. The saying, nothing about us without us. Peer support and shared experience foster empowerment and community. Independence includes interdependence, and working together strengthens us all. None of us can do it on our own. We have to do it together. The SILs, as you heard, there were 28 in California. They were created under the Title VII of the Rehab Act, governed and staffed primarily by people with disabilities. All independent living centers have to have at least 51% of our staff be people with significant disabilities, as well as our board of directors. You have to have at least 51%. We have 5 core services. That doesn't mean that that's all we do. But our 5 core services, the original 4, information and referral, independent living skills training, peer counseling, advocacy, and that's individual advocacy and systems change advocacy. And then about 5, 6 years ago, they added transition services to us as an unfunded mandate. So do it, but we're not going to give you any extra money. SILs are advocacy and empowerment organizations, not traditional service agencies. Partner with local organizations, employees, and policymakers to promote inclusion and accessibility. Several of us do that within collaborations. I know we have the Inland Empire Disability Collaborative, and there's other collaboratives in the area that we all work together and figure how we can take care of these things by ourselves. INR. Access to information is power, and historically, people with disabilities were denied both inaccessible systems, medical paternalism, and institutionalization kept people isolated from knowledge and options. Knowledge enables self-determination. Today, we have taken INR a step forward with the concept of the Aging and Disability Resource Connections. We do what's called enhanced information referral, and this is where warm transfers take place. So when somebody calls here, we don't just give a phone number. We figure out what they need, and if we do need to refer them, we will get that other agency on the call with them and make sure they're connected, and then follow up to make sure they receive services. IL skills training. Institutions and dependency models have stripped people of basic skills for community life. Budgeting, cooking, self-advocacy, using transit, managing attendance. These are all things we do classes 3 days a week here at the center. Cooking is always one of our favorite classes to do because we all get to have free lunch. But the math classes, the budgeting classes, how to make change, simple things like that, we teach weekly. Um, Peer counseling. This is why you have to have over 50% of the people with disabilities. We, when we're meeting with, we're here at Skill, I think we're at 90% people with significant disabilities. So when we're working one-on-one with someone, they're getting help from somebody that has lived through what they're experiencing now. And that just makes it so much easier for them to understand what the next steps are for them and see that things are possible. I mean, people with disabilities can work, can help out, and that's what we try to show. Advocacy, again, I said earlier, it's individual and systems advocacy. This is what the IL movement was born. And again, the very first thing was trying to become a student at University Cal Berkeley, and that's what Ed Roberts really went to battle for. And Ed was at one point the director of the Department of Rehabilitation, so it shows you can go from being looked at as a person with a disability to being a director of a major organization like DOR. Go back real quick. Um, Systems change advocacy. An example I'll use here is Metro. We sit right on the Metro line, and when they came in and put the line in, they put a fence in, bearing people to come over into our center, and they have to walk almost a half a mile to get to our center. So we advocated with Metro and with the city, and we had a gate put in so people get off the train, walk through the gate, and they're at our center. Another thing we did is the beeping at the crosswalks here in Claremont was too short. We have a lot of low vision and blind consumers. And when they're starting to walk across, they use that audible sound to find where they're going. Well, it was quitting halfway through the walk, and people were kind of stumbling and walking into cars, and we had that lengthened. So that's systems change. That's two examples. Transition services. As the movement matured, advocates recognized three critical transitions that reflect interdependence across life stages. And that's from institutions. So many people have been institutionalized that do not need to be there. So our goal is to get them out of the institutions into a lower level of care, something that they want. Youth transition. As youth with disabilities come out of high school, it's kind of they're dropped. So our goal is to help them find work or school, whichever they want to get to move forward. And then from military or other systems into civilian life, and that's incarceration is a big one too. We get a lot of people that are coming out of prison that we need to help, stabilize and get back into the community and become a productive member of the society. Future, ongoing advocacy for access, inclusion, and justice in all areas of life. This will never stop. There's always things that we need to work on, and make it better and easier, and make sure that access is for all. Technology and digital accessibility as tools for empowerment. integrating aging and disability communities to promote shared independence, intersectionality, recognizing the overlap between disability, race, gender, and class, youth leadership and mentorship, ensure that next generation sustains the IL movement. This is so important. As you see, I've got white hair, I'm aging out. We need the youth. We need them to continue the battle that we keep fighting. And new frontiers, climate change, disaster preparedness, inclusive community planning. One of the things that most of the independent living centers, we participate in a program called Disability Disaster Access and Resources, where we help people with disabilities plan for an emergency. If they have electrical dependent devices and they live in a fire threat area, we can give them a battery, which will help them get through that. Um, so closing, IL is not a program, it's a promise that people with disabilities will define their own futures, shape their communities, and lead the fight for equity and inclusion. Every action we take, every barrier removed, every voice amplified continues the journey. Independent living is not about doing things alone. It's about having the freedom and power to choose how we live, work, and belong. Thank you. It is my privilege to introduce a friend, Brandy Blue from the Resources for Independent Living, the Independent Living Center in Sacramento. It's all yours, Brandy.
Thank you, Larry, for that presentation and that introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Brandy Bulbul. I am the Executive Director at Resources for Independent Living, RIL, again, serving Yolo and Sacramento counties. I am a 35-year-old white woman with red hair and bangs wearing dangly earrings today. So I am here to talk about the State Independent Living Council. And I am also a person with a speech disability. I always try to state that in my intro, but I forgot. So the State Independent Living Council is abbreviated to the SILC, SILC. Every state has a SILC, and the state and the SILC's goal is to help create, or they create a plan for ILCs, independent living centers, on what their focus are. It's a 3-year plan. So we are currently almost to, we're like the halfway point to 2025, 2027 at our current plan. The SILC consists of 18 governor-appointed members. The majority of the members have to be a person with a disability. There's an ILC representative, which is my role. I just got appointed, and advocates and our family members of people with a significant disability. We also really like to have like partners, and we also really like when people attend that are from other agencies that serve the disability community to get their input. So the current spill, the state plan for independent living is as follows. So there's 3 goals. So there's systems change advocacy, which again was previously kind of talked about, but we really work to improve systems that affect people with disabilities in the state of California. This means really advocating and educating on policies and programs so that people with a disability can have easier access to the public and the private resources to help them live independently that they are entitled to. As we know, many of these services can unfortunately be hard to access, and so we do a lot of advocacy, telling stories about how some policies work in order to put like real faces, real stories to the name. Transition and diversion funding is also one of the three goals. So again, transition services is transitioning someone from a restricted setting, like a nursing facility, into their own home. They also recently added youth services, which I'm really excited about. So transitioning youth that are graduating from high school. Maybe they want to go to, college or a trade school, or go straight to work. And so we really help transition them from their current housing to live independently. Also, the next one is the funding formula. So the Silk is currently working on a new funding formula for ILCs. As we all know, California is a large state. It is a diverse state, and so we really want to make sure that the funding formula is accurate and equitable for all. We have some parts of California that are very rural. We have some parts that are very urban. And so creating that funding formula. Some of the partners that we really work closely with is DOR, Department of Rehabilitation, and the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. So what CFILC is it is a membership organization for the ILCs. So as executive director, we have the opportunity to join CFILC. And so it is a agency that really helps support us in our roles. If you have any question, and then the DOR and CFLC has a directory to find all of the ILCs, and the Silk's website has all of the information on when we meet, and we would love to have you. They are always open to the public. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. I will put my email in the chat, or I think someone else will put the email in the chat. And thank you so much. I'm going to pass it on to my friend Rebecca.
Thank you, Brandy. Okay, hold on.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Tonabed. I'm the community organizer at Resources for Independence Central Valley. I am a white woman with curly short red hair and I'm wearing glasses. We serve Kings, Tulare, Fresno, Madera, and Merced County. I have been working at RICV for 3 years. However, I have been a self-advocate for 20 plus years. RICV was one of the first advocacy groups I joined. Was our peer support group. I am using my voice options to help me talk because I have a speech disability due to my cerebral palsy. I call it a CP accent because it just sounds cooler. My VO have helped me tremendously. I just got finished with hosting an 8-week leadership training, and I mostly did it on my VO. I also do a lot of legislative visits, and I do those with VO. I say that you don't choose to be an advocate, advocacy chooses you. You need to have that passion inside of you saying that this isn't right, and that you need to help make it right. I became an advocate when I was around 20 years old. It hasn't been easy, and other people has called me sensitive because they didn't like what I was saying. Once, someone told me that I wasn't an advocate and I couldn't handle being disabled. That jerk. Since I started working at RICV, I have broadened my advocacy field. I am hosting events. I am helping people with their advocacy needs. I am interested in politics a little more now. With that, I will hand it over to Kelly.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Kelly Kivlahan, the Assistive Technology Coordinator at Access Central Coast. We were formerly called the Independent Living Resource Center, and I'm going to talk just a few minutes about how assistive technology can impact these centers for independent living and the communities that we serve. So in this type of work, I'm sure many of you have heard the term person-centered. We practice person-centered approaches when working with individuals. So really making sure that the person is the one driving the vehicle of what they want their independence to look like. We're kind of in the passenger seat helping with directions. So when we meet with people who are interested in assistive technology support, this could look completely different for everybody. There's no blanket service for anyone in need of this support because all disabilities are going to be completely different. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our organization's specific assistive technology program, and I'll shorten it by using the term AT for assistive technology. So we have a couple different components that make up our program. One is we have a medical supply loan closet. This allows community members to donate gently used durable medical equipment, and then we can repurpose it for individuals within the community who are in need of it. A lot of times this looks like wheelchairs or walkers or canes, or maybe a shower chair or bench or a bedside commode, just to name a few. This is at no cost. The only eligibility, which is the same for all centers for independent living, is just that the individual self-identifies as having a disability, or if they don't want the term disability, sometimes just a barrier that they'd like reduced or removed to make them feel more independent. We also have digital literacy training. So this is where I can work with individuals one-on-one or in groups to help them feel more comfortable using different types of devices. Sometimes this looks like an older adult who isn't very familiar with maybe an iPad and they want to learn how to set up their online health portal or an email address, or perhaps they want to set up some of their bills to automatic payments. Sometimes this is helping someone with a disability who needs a particular type of phone that will allow them to communicate more easily. Helping them navigate these devices so that we can bridge the digital divide is really an important component of a lot of assistive technology programs throughout the state and the country. I also can help individuals navigate insurance. A lot of times that can be very difficult when trying to procure DME or durable medical equipment. So having an advocate who can help walk them through these processes of what they need to get from their doctor, how they need to submit the claim, can a lot of times allow them to get these pieces of equipment covered under their insurance. And lastly, we have specific funds that can be applied for to help individuals either procure certain pieces of equipment or home modifications. This is probably a bulk of what I spend my time doing. So for example, maybe they tried to get their wheelchair through their insurance and their Medicare denied the claim. They can then come to me. We can establish, we already tried going through Medicare and was denied. Let's try applying for specific funds through our organization to make sure that you have what you need to be independent. This can also be seen with home modifications. Just a few success stories that I think kind of paint a picture of how home modifications can really impact communities and individuals. We were able to renovate a client's stairs that led up into her mobile home. She experiences some vision loss, and she was really worried about taking a fall on her steep stairs. So we were able to change the entire layout of the stairs to be more gradual, less steep, and have a railing. So she had an extra sense of security that made her feel safer going in and out of her home. Another huge success story was we were able to convert a bathtub into a shower. This was due to the help of the DOR, the Department of Rehabilitation, had a special community living fund that we were able to apply for and procure. So we were able to cover the complete cost of that bathroom renovation for two individuals who were both wheelchair users who really needed a roll-in shower as opposed to a bathtub. And we also just last month procured a voice-activated bed frame and mattress for a client who has MS. So that way it gave them the independence to verbally speak, and it would allow their bed to have them go from lying to sitting up, which was immensely beneficial for them. I should have mentioned at the beginning, but it was a great segue from Rebecca because our organization is also a vendor of the Voice Options program, which we have to give another shout out to the Department of Rehabilitation because they are the ones who fund that incredible program. And now I will hand it off to Cece.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Kelly. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Cece Olivas. I am the youth coordinator here at Resources for Independent Living. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the program that I run here, as well as a little bit about youth services at Independent Living Centers. So starting off with the mission of my program, the Youth Empowerment Program. So it is designed to guide and support youth with disabilities ages 14 to 26 as they transition into independence and adulthood. Through a blend of workshops, peer counseling, and individualized services, YEP empowers participants by building essential skills for daily living. Our program is consumer driven, ensuring that each participant's unique needs and goals are prioritized. And then I want to jump right into the 4 core services that I provide here at the Youth Empowerment Program. The first is information referral. So youth are connected and referred to essential resources in their community, such as healthcare, legal aid, housing leads, financial support, or whatever it is that they are looking for. Peer counseling, in which youth are supported through regular check-ins to track progress, address goals through challenges and achievements. And the third core service is independent living skills workshops. So I provide independent living skills workshops in where I facilitate discussions and activities that my consumers participate in. Each workshop is catered on whatever topic my consumers decide they're wanting to learn and discuss about. And the fourth and last core service is housing search assistance. So through guidance on navigating the overall housing search assistance aspect, I guide my consumers and just kind of break the steps to that. And then on this next slide, I just kind of wanted to highlight my 2 main flyers. So for example, on the left, I have a colorful yellow flyer that just shows all of the different topics and categories of workshops that I have taught in the past or we've just discussed. So for example, transportation assistance, cooking and grocery basics, or daily living, household management. And on the right side of the screen, it is my main youth empowerment program flyer. It's very colorful and blue. It just kind of reiterates my 4 core services as well as the youth empowerment program's mission. And on the next slide, I just want to talk a little bit about the different services youth can be connected to from an ILC, from an independent living center. However, some independent living centers, in your area, they may or may not have youth services. So it is best, just to contact them and see what they can provide. These are what we do offer here at Resources for Independent Living. I talked a little bit about my 4 core services, but we also do have overall housing assistance, transportation guidance, advocacy, assistive technology, independent living skills training, information referral services, as well as transition services. So for example, transition services for youth can look like educational, whether it's, transitioning from high school to a college or to a trade school. We navigate disability benefits and hospital care transitions. If you are, for example, in a skilled nursing facility or in hospital, we try to guide that transition back into the community with the right systems in place. And then lastly, I want to talk about some community resources and engagement that I've been part of for the Youth Leadership Forum. So the California Youth Leadership Forum is a week-long residential program for high school students with disabilities to develop self-advocacy and leadership skills. They meet with disability community leaders and policymakers, and they create a personal and career leadership plans for post-secondary education, living independently, and employment. It is held annually at California State University, Sacramento. The program provides an overall college-like experience, and you get to network with peer support, and it is free to the selected delegates. And YLF does host smaller, like a day or two regional events as well throughout the year in California, most notably in Sacramento and the LA areas. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I will pass it back to Sarah.
Right. I got it to work. Oh my goodness. I think everybody here is ready to go run out and find their local ILC, right? So right now what we're going to do is I'm going to invite all of our panelists to turn their cameras back on, and we are going to do a few questions. All right. So my first question to all of you is, what drives you to serve as a team member of an ILC? And anybody can start. And I'm thinking maybe two or three of us answer this one.
I can go ahead and start.
Go for it.
I think this is Kelly Kivlahan from Access Central Coast. I'm sorry I didn't give a physical description before, but I'm a white woman in her 30s with black glasses and a white sweater. I think one of the biggest pulls for me to work for a CIL is really seeing the physical impact that it makes not only on individuals, on families, but on entire communities. Allowing individuals with disabilities to feel empowered and have a voice and be able to participate in civic engagement, in professional environments within their communities, I think is something that really shows the importance of what we do.
I could go next, but Becca or Mom, I want to. But what drive me is I love helping people out, and I like giving information to people so they could advocate for themselves and then advocate for people and so on and so forth. Thank you.
And I'll answer that as well. Thank you both. I'm from a really rural area where disability is not really talked about. Again, I am a person with a speech disability. I've gone to speech therapy since like the age of 5. For other speech issues, I couldn't say my R's and all these other things. My my stutter actually came after. But I didn't really know what the disability like world was. It wasn't discussed. And it's still almost kind of like a bad word. And I really want to change that. When I told my family what I do and then that I identify as a person with a disability, some of them were kind of like shocked and like, is that okay? And I'm like, it's okay. Like it's fine. It's not a bad word. It is not meaning that I am less than. It is who I am. And I think if I would have realized or known, or if my parents would have known, I was a person with a disability, school would have been a lot easier for me. And it could have really opened doors that were not open. And so I really love what I do. I really love kind of the advocacy and going to work and knowing that, we are doing something good. And I really like ILCs dominantly because we are one of the few disability agencies that serve all disabilities and all ages, and we mandate that 51%, which is not seen anywhere else. And so it is just it's a great place to work. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Brandy, I could hear your smile in your voice. And I think that all of us who are part of this movement and part of independent living centers, we all get that. We get the bug and we get excited. And I'll just add in, myself as a person who's blind, and I do have other disabilities as well. Coming to an independent living center to work was very different, because the blind community, they have their own blind centers, and I will tell you that coming to an ILC taught me so much about myself, my own disabilities, and others, and how we really have a lot of the same barriers, and so when we can work together, it's great. All right. So this next one, I'm going to put Becca, Kelly, and Cece on the hot seat. Starting with Becca, what are you most proud of in your work at your ILC?
This is a hard question because I'm proud of everything I do. I think it's all of my legislative and congressional meetings that I had and will have because I then have another connection that I can make.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Becca. And you know what? Becca should be proud of all of it because it's a lot of work, and there's this what would you say, like this aha moment that we give to many people when we're doing our advocacy work, and
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. All right, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So I'm really proud of a lot of the work that our organization makes it possible for us to do. I think it really stands out when you have these life-changing changes for individuals. For example, when it comes to home modifications, again, not having the fear of falling in the shower and needing to be hospitalized, and having a roll-in shower when you're a wheelchair user is something that the individuals that we work with one-on-one, they sometimes don't even know how to express how grateful they are, because it's something that they never thought that was going to be possible for them. But because organizations like ours are available, and available for all individuals, like Brandy said, with a disability, it gives them hope. It gives them the idea that there are people out there who are looking out for them, who know that they deserve to have these supports so that they can live independently within their communities.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kelly. All right, Cece.
Yeah, so the work that I'm most proud of is creating our youth program here at RL. I created the youth empowerment program from the ground up. I've had amazing opportunities of meeting other youth workers around California and connecting and just creating a wider support system for the youth, and that's amazing.
Heck yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Larry and Brandy, this next one is for you. As executive directors, can you tell us how are ILCs funded? And you guys can fight over who goes first.
Well, I'll just jump in. Basically, state and federal funding is our core funding. Um, However, we do get other funding. I talked about the DDAR program, the Disability Disaster Access and Resource Program. This is funded through CFILC, which is a program that they get funded by PG&E to do the emergency preparedness trainings that we do. Then there's also, foundation grants, and half of our job is being a grant writer and looking for more funding and looking for more programming that we can bring in that will allow, some extra staffing to do more.
And
All right.
fundraising is a huge one too. So most of the grants that we get are for services, like to have someone help, right? And so the fundraising is huge, and it helps us do other services that aren't paid for by grant. So um uh rental assistance and food and things like that. So not all ILCs, can do that, and most of them, have a very small restrictive funding, but that's why fundraising is so important. So we can do more, but it's our job, a fun job, as he stated, to grant write and really look for grants that every area needs. Again, California is large, right? So what we need in the Sacramento area might not be what is needed in Chico, California or San Diego. And so what I've kind of learned in my time as being ED in the last 3 years is kind of each ILC kind of has its little like niche, right? And that's important because it gives us the ability to serve the area as we see fit and go for those kind of funding.
There's the saying, once you see one ILC, you've only seen one ILC. Um,
Hmm.
we're all very different, but very alike.
Same core services may just do them a little bit different. And when it comes to from each community-based organization should look like their community. And I think that ILCs really do that. And it's definitely something that we strive for. And with having the more than half of our staff and our leadership and board all be people with disabilities. Larry and Brandy, are there ways that people can donate to Centers for Independent Living if they wanted to? Like, do most websites have a way to do that?
Yeah, we have PayPal on our website, and we do accept cash and checks too. We do have one fee for service program. We do alternative format material. We do Braille, large print, audio. We have some nationwide contracts with some of the healthcare systems to do all their documents. So that has helped bring in some extra funding. Um,
They're great. I've used them as well.
Awesome. But see, shameless plugs, right?
Anytime for you, Larry.
Thank you.
All right. Well, now I'm going to open it up to all of you to give your own shameless plugs on what do you have coming up, going on? Is there anything exciting coming up in 2026, virtual or in person? What's the fun stuff?
I'll kick it off because I'm sitting here looking at my food pantry, and today they're packing the Thanksgiving packages away. We service 480 residences every week.
Wow.
So putting together 485 packs is quite a bit of work, and we're very thankful that our day programs come in and volunteer and help us put those together. So it's job training for them, as well as helping all of our consumers fight food deprivation.
Oh,
I'm
that's
going
cool.
there. Going there.
Go for it, Becca.
Every year, around September, I facilitate the Leadership Investment Training, LIT, at RICV. The point of LIT is to train people with disabilities to be leaders or more experienced leaders in their community. I had just finished it for this year. In February, I'm going to be putting on a 2-day winter symposium.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. And I'm sure if you want to hear more about that symposium, you could go onto RICV's website or their social media. All
Um,
right. Who wants to go next?
You can go next.
Go for it.
This is Kelly again. I think so I'm a part of a committee called the Rapid Response Committee, and we lean towards systems change. So we meet with policymakers, we put on PSAs, we do different webinars to kind of increase disability awareness and disability activism. We, over the past few months, created I think it's about a 20-minute video of different interactions of people with disabilities in the community, that almost a do's and don'ts type of PSA, so to speak. And so we're really excited. We're going to be premiering that in early January. We'll be getting it on our YouTube channels and our social media. The Voice Options Program, again, shameless plug from the DOR. I think within the past year, I completed, I want to say, close to 40 individuals were able to get brand new iPads with speech generating applications, as well as all the accessories that they could need. And then on top of that, just looking forward to our fiscal year switched over at the beginning of October. So having a replenished funding source for individuals who need those pieces of equipment and home modifications.
Thank you, Kelly. Cece or Brandy?
Yeah, I can go. I was just gonna mention, as I mentioned earlier, I do collaborate with the Youth Leadership Forum, and an upcoming update is that they are very excited to announce that their delegate application for next summer's program of July 2026 is now open. YLF hopes to begin reviewing applications in late January or early February and conduct their interviews in March, making the final selections by the end of March. If you're interested or someone you know, connect and apply on the DOR website, or maybe we can have someone add it on the chat. If not, I can. Yeah.
And Cece, can you remind folks of the age brackets for youth that go to YLF?
Yes, it is, I believe, junior year to senior year of high school students with disabilities.
And I will say that, sophomores are encouraged to apply. They may not get in their first year, but they
Right.
could get in the next year or the year after that. There have been a couple of standout sophomores that have gotten in the past, so don't be afraid to go ahead and apply. All right, Brandy.
Yes, and to add to the YLF, if you know of any, youths in that junior, senior year, there are multiple people that have had a career in IL after attending. There's many executive directors, so it is a huge opportunity. So just wanted to kind of plug that. Again, that's something that I was not aware of. And so that would have been something I would have really enjoyed. We do have independent living skills training classes every Thursday at 10 a.m. This is in the Sacramento area, but they are available on Zoom. If you are not in the Sacramento area, you can always attend. And we just finished two vaccination clinics, but we do host those every year around September-ish. And we really try to make it a fun event where people can get vaccinated, but they can also, and we also have like a hub. So we have the LGBT Center often has a booth there, and on agency on aging and ACC senior services. So we are really trying to host a lot more events. And so just you can always go on our website at www.ril-sacramento.org. And our calendar is up to date. We really want to start doing some like support groups. I don't know if that's the right word yet. And so if you again are in the Sacramento area or can attend on Zoom and you have any ideas or thoughts on some support groups, we are again, we are here for you. And so if there's anything that you would like for us to try to do, we are all ears, and if we can make it happen, we will. But that is some of the things that we're focusing on in the beginning of the year.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and hand this back over to Tish.
Thank you. Great job, everyone. Thank you so much. What a great showcase of the many ways that the Independent Living Centers support independence. And I'm sure there were some that went unmentioned as well. So appreciate your passion in sharing this information today. Really encourage our participants to visit their local ILC to ask those more in-depth questions about the services and supports that you might benefit from. Let's go ahead and open it up for some questions. Hey guys, can the ILCs help me find employment? I mean, I know we have DOR services, but how do DOR and the ILCs coordinate those services for employment support?
We don't, this is Larry. Service Center for Independent Life does not have an official employment program. However, we will sit down and do resume building with our consumers, interview, fake interviews with our consumers. So we do some training, but we don't have an official program with either the regional center or with DOR.
Just to piggyback off of that, Kelly from Access Central Coast, similarly to Larry, we don't have an official vocational program. However, all of our staff do have that independent living skills training. So the building of resumes, the interview scenarios, sometimes it's just the warm handoff of having those contacts directly at the Department of Rehabilitation so that we can kind of streamline services for the individual so that they don't feel like they have to navigate that on their own.
And this is Brandy from RIL. I'll go quickly. RIL just became vendorized with the Department of Rehabilitation. So we do have a employment program. So if you are interested, you can connect with us or go through DOR and ask to be referred to RIL. So we are really working on employment services.
Okay, great to know there's some coordination there of services. You know, there have been quite a few questions about assistance with housing or housing related questions. What are those first steps that you suggest for our participants seeking assistance with housing?
Start with that. Um, at most ILCs at our Access Central Coast, we have housing specialists in each office. So they are really familiar with the particular area that individuals are wanting to live and to make sure that those, if those housing units need to have certain modifications or accessibility standards, they can also help with those applications. I'm sure everyone on the call is pretty familiar. A lot of times, applications for housing, if you don't dot one I or cross one T, it's very quickly rejected or denied. So, really, just advocating for the individual to make sure that they have what they need to find success in their housing searches, because we all know housing is not easy in California.
Then Rebecca, we have Colleen, the Benjamin in all three of our office, and the independent living. The Benjamin are the help with housing. So yeah, we have it. Thank you.
So I think that, sorry, this is Brandy speaking again. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, unfortunately, about ILCs is we do own property and unfortunately we are unable to. So we are I always kind of train staff to say, we do not own or operate any properties, but we can help you search for housing. If you are in the Sacramento area, again, I would advise you to visit our website because we do have a housing list on our website. And it goes into details as up to date as we can. It changes by the hour, I feel like at times, like with rental costs and things, but it is a really great start. If you're in the Sacramento area, it has how many bedrooms, if they accept Section 8, what's their deposit, and all these things. And so, housing is challenging. We all wish that we could do more, but just my biggest advice is put your name on every wait list you can. And yeah, that's the biggest support or biggest advice I can give you is just put your name on as many wait lists as you possibly can.
Okay, thanks for the input. And there are a couple questions about, Rebecca, what tool is it that you're using
I am
for your voice?
using the AG the full Marco too. And it's really helpful in my work and helpful in my life.
Maybe, Kelly, could you elaborate on what the different apps are?
For voice options?
Yeah, for voice options and maybe just how the process works.
Yeah. So basically, this used to be a temporary program. It was put on pause, and we were lucky enough to have it transition into a permanent program a little over a year ago. And so, any California resident, regardless of age, regardless of income, regardless of type of speech disability, as long as they have a speech disability that can be verified by a healthcare professional, are eligible for this voice options program. They first become a client or consumer in our organization, which just involves completing some paperwork. They're then given a temporary loan iPad, which has 7 different speech generating applications on it. This will be a quick list. I can definitely put those in the chat, but they're Proloquo to go, Proloquo for text, TD Snap, Predictable, Lamp, Touch Chat, and I'm forgetting the 7th one. Maybe there's only 6. So they're the most common ones tend to be Proloquo to go is often used in schools, school districts. Lamp Words for Life is also very common, and Touch Chat, I would say, are the 3 most popular ones that I see. But they're all set up with different formats, and you can customize them really specifically to the way that you want to communicate with others. So you use this loaner iPad, you can try all the different options. You return that iPad after 2 weeks. You tell me, for example, here are the 2 applications that are the most appropriate for my needs. Here are all the accessories that I need. Maybe you need a protective screen covering or an OtterBox case or a carrying case with a strap, or maybe you need special earphones that, have some noise canceling components to them. We take all that information, we do kind of the behind the scenes work. We internally approve it, send it to the Department of Rehabilitation to approve it, and then we purchase all those items and give them to the individual, and they're able to keep them permanently.
There were a few questions about how to get in touch with your local ILC. And I know that, Morgan, if you'll put that link back into the chat, that would be really helpful. But to learn more, or to just get in touch with the ILC to find out what kinds of supports may be available to suit your needs, visit our website. We have dor.ca.gov/HOME/independent living. Okay, so dor.ca.gov/home/independent living. Or just go to our DOR website, which is dor.ca.gov, and in the search bar, plug in ILC, and the information about the independent living centers will pop up. Okay, if you'd like to speak to someone to learn more, contact phone 1-916-558-5775 or TTY 1-916-558-5778. If you prefer email, go ahead and email ilinfo@dor.ca.gov. Again, that's ilinfo@dor.ca.gov. If you would like to find your local independent living center, you can find that on the Home Independent Living website. There's an office locator tool. Okay, if you'd like to go directly there, I think we can put that into the chat as well. Visit dor.ca.gov/HOME/contact us.